All right, everybody, you've made it to episode 3 of the podcast. And yeah, we are still in the very early days of this, and we think we're going to be calling it the Tour Operator Growth Podcast. So we're figuring this out in real time with you guys. If you've been following along, episode 1 was all about being omnipresent. Why showing up everywhere where your ideal guest is searching for you matters now more than ever, especially in 2026. And episode 2 was all about the customer journey and how the buying behavior has changed, especially with AI becoming part of the decision-making process. Today, we are recording episode 3 and we are tying it all together. We're really excited about this episode because I think it's going to lay the foundation on everything we are going to be talking about in future episodes. So with that, Greg, I'm going to hand it off to you to introduce our guest, Brandon, and a little bit about what we're talking about.
Thanks, Nikki. I'm super excited for this episode today and our ongoing podcast. We're really going forward, we're going to be focusing on the 5 stages of the customer journey and the things that will help your business grow. And we want to help coach you along the way. So today, we're introducing the Resmark Growth Engine. We're going to talk about why we developed it, how this framework will be a game changer for your business, and how we've seen it kind of improve our business as well as we've been going through it. I'd like to introduce Brandon Lake. He's our founder and CEO at Resmark Systems and one of the owners of Western River Expeditions and Moab Adventure Center. He's also a marketing expert as well. He knows his stuff. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say today. So going forward today, we're going to introduce the growth engine and get an overview. So Brandon, just in a few sentences, can you tell us what the Resmark growth engine is?
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. Excited to be with both of you here today. I'm really excited to talk about the growth engine, and we'll get into the details, but just a quick overview. What we've put together with this are 5 key criteria within each phase of the travel journey or the customer journey for travel companies. So if you're a tour operator, this may sound very familiar to you, but we're talking about dreaming, planning, booking, experiencing, and sharing. And like I said, within each of those, we have these criteria that we'll dive into a little more today. And it's a really good kind of check to see how your business is really doing.
Brandon, why did you decide to make the growth engine and why now?
Yeah, so I think this will resonate with other tour operators. You know, I've been at this a long time, and I've always kind of been on the sales and marketing side of the business. And it is harder today, I think, than ever before, just with the constant rate of change that we are seeing, right? There is just new things to focus on constantly. And I feel like that does a couple of things. One, it causes a lot of distraction, right? We're just like, oh my gosh, look at this. People are doing this. They're having success. I better do it too. And what happens is we maybe find ourselves just like, you know, spaghetti on the wall kind of thing. Like we're just throwing stuff around. And then number 2, sometimes we neglect some of the fundamentals, right? And that can be really detrimental. And amidst all of that, I think we just feel, at least I do, and I have felt kind of this uneasiness, almost like I'm just living amidst constant change and chaos. And I need something that can ground me, that can give me a foundation, that can help me know how I'm doing, and really like something that I can systematize and that will give me like a proven formula for success. And that's what we've put together. This is a combination of the last 25 years plus that I've been doing this, plus what we've learned helping other companies in the industry for years. And we've really put that together and say, what really are the key drivers today? And how can we create a formula and a system that reduces chaos, provides some level of direction and predictable success?
I don't know about everyone else, but I really like checklists. And so in the process of building this frameworks typically have checklists or something that you can kind of follow and check along the way. We created a survey that is 25 questions, 5 for each of those 5 steps Brandon went over. And it's kind of this, mental checklist that you can go through and say, how am I doing here, and here? And I like that kind of path of the framework, how it's set up, because as a business owner, you'll be able to go through and just focus on one piece at a time and kind of hone that in a little bit. Once you feel better about it, move on to a different part instead of thinking like, there's so much I need to do. And where do I start? What do I work on? This will kind of, our survey helps you see where you need to improve, and then we'll help coach you to kind of figure out, where should you start.
The other thing that should be noted is this is something that I think a beginner tour operator just starting out can implement, or tour operators that, their goal is 1 million, 2 million, 3, 5, it can really help at any stage of business you're trying to reach. So let's dive into it, if you don't mind, because I have so many questions and I'm so excited to talk about it. But let's start with the top. You said the first stage is that dreaming stage. What does dreaming actually mean? And can you give some examples of tour operators that are in the dreaming phase and what they're doing?
Yeah, for sure, Nikki. This is one of all of these phases are the key phase. I'll probably say that about each one, but we have to be present where people begin to think about our tours or our trips, right? Our activities. And that landscape is changing, and it always has been, right? Ever since I've been in this, it's been from the beginning. We were doing a lot of direct mail trade shows, and then it moved into building a website and putting all that together. And all of that just keeps going and going and going. In your previous podcast, you guys talked a little bit about this omni-channel approach, right? This omnipresent kind of approach. And I want to just touch on that for a second, because I feel like that is the real key to the dreaming phase. So when we're talking about dreaming, we are talking about being visible in AI search. That's a big one for today. We're talking about being visible on social, because people are looking there, and social search is exploding. Like, people are going there to actually find travel ideas and using it like they would a search engine. Video, like, I know I've used that a ton. I've gone right into YouTube and searched for a destination that I'm planning to go to with very specific, things that I want to know about it, and I want to watch videos, right? That's huge. Word of mouth is still there and going strong. For some companies, even print and direct mail can be a factor in this. So when we're talking about the dreaming phase, we're talking about being present in all of these locations, right? And there's a couple of things that are kind of interesting here that I think we should really take notice of. So one thing is, travelers are 3 times more likely to book a tour that they've seen across multiple channels. So that's a big stat, right? Like, if you're just putting all your eggs in one basket, you're missing an opportunity there. And then the other piece is the fundamentals are still key. Like, Google is still a big player in this space. So sometimes I think companies are kind of losing sight of that. Like, wow, I'm going to just, it's all about AI search. Well, it's probably going to be all about AI search in the future, but Google's still going to be right at the core of that, right? Like, they're going to just shift their model and produce, you're already seeing it in a lot of ways. Like, you're seeing AI results come back, and we have to really think about what we're doing with our website, because that's really what's fueling our visibility there. How is it designed? How quickly does it load? What content is on it? How many people are linking to it? What authority does it have? All of those factors are fueling whether or not we even show up in all of these places, and then how frequently we're posting and all of that. So that's really dreaming in a nutshell, is just being in all of these places with the right message at the right time.
Yeah, the dreaming stage can sound very daunting, as we talked about in our previous podcast about omnipresence. Like, there's a lot that you can do as a business, and figuring out what is right for your company is often difficult. I talked to companies at a trade show we went to recently, American Outdoors, and there's actually, Brandon mentioned this a little bit, but there's this little bit of a revival on print. There's people doing postcards now and going back to some of the print media because they see that it is working in different aspects. The piece I see when I travel a lot is like the little brochures that sit by the concierge desk. I always, my kids are always grabbing those. Can we do this? Can we do that? Like those type of things. There's so many things to do, but how do you really figure out like where to start?
Yeah, that's a great question. And sometimes we can get overwhelmed, like you said, by thinking, okay, I just got to think of stuff to put in all these places, right? Because it's all content. I got to make videos. I got to post things on social. I need to make sure my website is visible in AI and in Google and in all of these places. And it gets really overwhelming. And so let me tell you a formula that we've started to use that I think pares this down, focuses it, and multiplies it. And so what we'll do, so I'll give you an example. Right now, during the month of January, we are focused on, with Western River Expeditions, that's one of our companies, we're focused on a campaign around group charter trips. So these are your family reunions, corporate retreats, groups of friends, whatever it might be, coming and basically taking over an entire departure, which for us is usually around 25 people. And it kind of, I mean, it's good for us because they're obviously, kind of doing some of the marketing on their own, and we just have to find one person who's willing to gather those people together, and it works out really well, and we kind of multiply our sales that way. So what we've done is we've figured out what the message is, and we actually have a process. I didn't mention this earlier, but ResmarkWeb has created a really cool process that we're utilizing, using a framework that gets our messaging right for our customer. And what I mean by that is we've actually taken all of the reviews that we had, not all, but say our 500 most recent reviews from Google, from TripAdvisor, from Yelp, from Facebook, and we combine those together. We put them together with chat log data, with Google Analytics data. We put all of this together and we actually put it into AI. And then we have a library of prompts that we apply to this. It's actually like 18 pages of prompts. And we have some of this available. If you guys are curious about it, reach out to us. We'll give it to you. And we run all of this, and then we develop this ideal customer profile. And I won't go into it in too much detail because we have other workshops that talk about it. But basically, it dials in your messaging so you are speaking to these people in their language with what is in their hearts and minds. And that alone, when you start thinking about what should I say, what should I post, like that will help you massively. So we do that, and then we take a concept like this group charter campaign, and we take it and we create website content for it. We create video for it. We create an email for it. We create social posts for it, ads for it. In this case, we're going to have some stuff on LinkedIn because that's kind of the corporate push. And the cool thing is, once you've got the message, it becomes really easy to just say, oh, well, I already wrote an email. Well, there's a good piece of that that's going to be a great social post. Oh, I already created a video. We'll chunk that out and make lots of little posts with it. And so it's a lot easier to create the content, and the fact that people are seeing the same message across every channel in your business multiplies the results massively, because we need repetition. Those of you who have been in marketing for any period of time recognize that, right? People have to see the message, and they have to see the same message, and they need to see it multiple times before they choose to act on it. And it's got to be the right message. So everything I just described there really helps us dial that in and nail it across all the pieces, all the channels we should be in for dreaming.
I think that helps make it not as daunting as Greg kind of talked about. Like, this can be very daunting. And yeah, you look at all these places where you can show up in front of people, paid social media or, organic or, email marketing, all of that. And it's like, yeah, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. So you have to do all of these things as long as it's where your ideal customer is. And then you also have to think about things outside the box, your OTAs, other resellers. So all of those are important part of the dreaming phase. But let's say, Brandon, somebody finds you. What usually goes wrong in the planning phase? So they do a really good job at marketing. They're going to do a good job at getting in front of people. But now we're in the planning phase. What do you see usually goes wrong?
So usually what happens between dreaming and planning is people start to engage with the brand, right? They've seen you in all these places and they begin to engage. So one of two things can go wrong. number one is they start to engage on the website, which is probably one of the most common paths, right? They're clicking a link from somewhere that they saw, they look you up, they find you in AI, whatever it is, they get to your website. And what they see there is either disorganized, isn't designed very well, is not resonating with them in terms of the messaging, and they go right back to the dreaming side of things and pick somebody else to explore, right? And we've just lost an opportunity. And it's pretty crazy. Like 88% of travelers will abandon a site if it's confusing or hard to navigate. So that alone is a key factor, right? I forget what the stat is, but our minds are making decisions in milliseconds, like of landing on something or whether or not it's resonating with us. And so all of that is so key. If there's anywhere to think about investing, especially if you're doing a lot of things we just talked about, it is your website. So that's number one. Number two, they might engage with you through a conversation. They might decide to send you a message, right, somewhere. Maybe it could be a direct message from social media. It could be some of the, they found your email address. They're reaching out. We have to make sure we have the resources there to respond. You've seen a lot of people move to AI here and doing a very good job with it. So that is a solution for smaller companies or bigger companies. If you can do it right and you can get that response immediately, I think people still love the human connection. I don't think that's going away. I think that's why we travel for a lot of reasons, right? I don't want to have an experience that's dehumanized, right? Like, I like that experience from the beginning. Like I want to associate with people, I want to travel, I want to see places, meet people, and all of that, right? So one of those two things. Our website is not the experience it should be, or the conversation someone wants to have is not happening fast enough, or with a good quality response.
I can't tell you the number of times I've gone to a website, and when I search for things, I always have multiple tabs open. I'll search for whatever it is I want to go do. I'll open like the first 5 companies, and I immediately look and I'm like, well, that one definitely doesn't look credible. That one doesn't look good. Oh, those ones look awesome. And then I'll start kind of delving in deeper to see which of the 3 I should move forward with. But I've ran into so many times where it's like, I get into it, the content's not clear, I'm not understanding exactly what they do. I'm not going to call someone unless it's like a really high price trip. I probably am not going to call someone. I'm going to abandon and go find a site that I can do everything I want without calling or contacting whatever. So if there's an AI bot, it needs to be able to answer my questions. If it can't, I'm going to start getting frustrated and probably move on to something else.
Yeah, and I think we have to recognize too that like 96% of website visitors, they're not ready to book on their first visit, right? So you got to think a little bit about what are you doing for those people who aren't ready to book. Hopefully you have like a stellar path to booking, right? And it is just phenomenal. And your checkout process is great, which we'll talk about in a minute. But like all of that should be dialed in. But what if they don't go down that path? Then what? Like you need to have some mechanism to give them something of value that they're willing to give you their contact information for, so you can create a lead and follow up with it, right? And that's a real key that a lot of companies miss. I mean, you say, Nikki, what goes wrong in the planning phase? That's another piece. Like maybe you do have the stuff dialed in, right? I got a great website. And really invested into it and have a phenomenal design and it's well organized and the content is great, but the only thing I have on it is the ability to book. And so missing an opportunity by not having some lead generation mechanism. And what are we talking about there? Like quizzes, forms, itineraries, different things like that people are going to go, that's cool. I want that. That's going to help me in the planning phase because that is the phase I'm in. And if we can put something like that together, it really boosts sales.
I mentioned earlier the survey that we have that we've done. We did it at American Outdoor, so we have quite a bit of data in. And one of the questions in our survey is like automated lead nurture sequences, which is follow up and a way to convert prospects into booking. Like, how are you doing that? Are you consistent? Not yet. Sometimes unsure. Only 21% of people have said so far on the survey that they do it consistently. So that's a lot of people that aren't following up and nurturing these leads. So once you gather those leads, like, it is so important to nurture them, because like you said, Brandon, they're coming to your, only 4% are coming ready to book. So if they're not ready, how are you telling them, like, hey, you were here, we still want you to come, here's why you should come and choose us versus going to some other competitor?
Creating the lead magnet itself is just one stage of it, right? Like I've worked with a few tour operators where they had a good lead magnet and we've gathered a couple hundred emails, but then nothing is happening after. You have that data. You have their first name, you have their email, maybe you even have more information. Get in front of them. It is so easy. We have clients that have used Constant Contact, MailChimp, HubSpot, all of the CRMs to send people emails. That's what a CRM could do. You could get in front of people and send emails. We even have our own CRM to send emails in front of people where you've captured their emails, and we can get in front of them over and over and over again with valuable information. That's so important.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, if you're sending valuable information, you're not going to send too often. Like Grant Cardone, he's a big marketing salesperson out there, and he talks about in one of his books, like, I can't remember the number, but it was sending 5 to 10 times per day emails and social media posts. But if it's valuable and the people obviously signed up for something from you, if you're adding value, they're going to care. They're either going to read it, they're going to just skip it, or they'll unsubscribe. And if you see you have a huge unsubscribe rate, then maybe you need to start adjusting that and maybe not do as much. Not saying necessarily go that overboard, but I think too many companies do it too little, right? You're following up once or twice in 6 months instead of keeping them top of mind, or keeping your business top of mind so that they're constantly thinking about you during this planning stage.
Yeah. And one thing, just to give people a concrete idea. So if you're questioning, like, well, what do you do? So we have a process, and you can look at this online. If you go to moabadventurecenter.com, you can check it out. But we have a lead magnet. It's kind of an insider's guide, but it's also a VIP insider series. So we're going to send you these sort of secret local, expert tips. And we're going to send you one a day for 10 days. So, and they know that's what's going to happen. So some of it is expectation. And then you have the cadence. And why did we do that? Because most people are going to make a decision within that time frame. If you've gotten onto a site and you're engaging at that level, even asking for something like, hey, I want this thing, you're in planning mode, right? And you are ready. And so the more we can be in front of them over that period, the better. And the cool thing we're seeing is that we get about 3 times more engagement on those emails, meaning the open rate, the click-through rate, sometimes crazy high click-through rates. I mean, up to 78% click-through rate on some of these. And we send that through Resmark, and we can see all of those stats there. And so that's super cool, and they're really easy to set up. And I think that is one of the keys to this, because if you're thinking, well, I'll just do this myself, I'll get all these leads and we'll just follow up with them. And maybe if you're not getting very many, you can do that if you have the resources and the staff to do it. But set something up that's automated. It's easy. And you can ensure that even while you're on vacation, this stuff is happening. And I think there is a spot for the human element. Like if we see a bigger opportunity, a big group organizer or something, we may jump into Resmark, turn off the automation, and take it into our own hands to just do some personal follow-up that way and kind of lead them down that path. But or we might even do it on the side of the emails that they signed up for, because those are still going to provide a ton of value, just depending on what the situation is. But really, really good results if you can set something up like that.
Action step. If you don't have a lead magnet already in place, please make sure you have something where you're gathering people's information and you could market to them, and then continue to get in front of them. Especially if you have a long buying cycle, like one of our clients, his buying cycle is about 9 months. So when they sign up for his newsletter, he gets in front of them, I think it's once a week. And, 8, 9 months later, they're ready to buy. They have all this information. That's when they could hit call now or book a call with them. All right. let's go on into the booking stage. Now, this stage seems a little bit more obvious, but what do tour operators usually, or I guess I should say, where do tour operators typically lose people in the booking stage?
Yeah, so this one is similar to what we talked about before. At this point, though, they're most likely on your website, right? That's usually, unless they're booking through an OTA or something, but that's their business. We're concerned about direct bookings, and ultimately that's what we want, right? So where we see people drop off a lot here is just in the booking process itself, or in the presentation of the product, being the activity or whatever experience you're providing. When we don't provide enough detail, and by detail I'm talking about, can people very quickly see your cancellation policy? Can they see exactly what's included, what's not included? Do they see the price? Is that very transparent? Can they see if it's a longer trip, the itinerary is very clear, or even if it's a shorter trip? People love to see maps to make things tangible. It's like the more tangible you can make this whole experience from the moment they land on that product page, the more likely they are to continue down the path. And then once we get into the booking phase, like the actual, like I'm adding to my cart, kind of going through the shopping e-commerce type experience, what does that look like? There are a lot of things that we can do during that phase, like trust signals, buy the book now button. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about like your reviews, that they can see that nearby the booking button. Maybe they see something that talks about the fact that they can cancel within 24 hours of booking, kind of like, oh, okay, well, I mean, that's, or cancel within 24 hours of their departure or something like that, right? Like these are all things that go, oh, okay, I feel a little better. You have some credibility here. Maybe you've won some awards. If you look at our checkout process, you'll see some of that right alongside the booking process. And we actually carry it through the checkout process. So like, I know you saw this and you were convinced by it. And so you click the button, and then we're not just dropping it. We're actually carrying it right on through. So you continue to see those, and you just have that good feeling about this business you're about to book with. And interestingly, if you put trust signals like that near the booking button, the stats tell us that this will actually increase clicks by 42%. 42%. Like that is a massive number. We're not just talking about a couple more. We're talking about huge amounts more. So this is a big deal. When you have urgency phrases around there, like limited seats or whatever, if that's true, this sells out frequently, that can increase conversion by 9 to 14%. So that's huge. And I think if you, another piece that we implement with our clients is we have a brand new checkout process that we're really excited about at Resmark, and just put it on our Moab Adventure Center site, is like a very simple progress bar. That kind of thing too can help people see where they're at, because sometimes they're like, how long is this going to take me? And then you just get distracted and you bail out of it. So very simple checkouts, reduce the steps as much as possible. If you get a progress bar in there, you see 36% lower abandonment. So add these things together, and it's pretty significant what can happen in the booking phase.
I think it's key. A lot of websites that I visit, they do a good job about like selling the brand, selling the experience on their website. Then you hit the book now button, and all of that goes away. And it's just like, hope you got all the information you needed already, and that you feel great about it, because we're not going to guide you through this anymore. It's on you to make sure you check out. And that's where people can abandon really easily, especially if you are like me, where I have multiple tabs. I go through that experience in multiple tabs some of the times because I'm not sure yet, and then I get to that booking, and if it feels like, whoa, doesn't seem legit, or one example I had was I was looking for rafting in Banff National Park, or in that area, and this one website I went through, and I got to the booking, I clicked book now, and it went to a page that just had tons of text, and it basically said, hey, you can come, like, just fill out the form below. I didn't have to put any money down, and it was like, please cancel if you can't come. And so I didn't have to pay until I got there. And to me, I'm like, well, that doesn't seem very like legit. Like I want to pay now, have it all kind of ready to go. And so I ended up going and looking at other companies um, for that experience.
Trust is huge when it comes to that very ending stage where you have them right on the cuff. So don't skimp out on trust factors and providing that sort of trust that is going to get them over the edge because of that, especially when they're comparing it with other tour operators. Awesome. I'm ready to go into the experience phase. So my question, Brandon, for you is a lot of people think the experience starts on the tour. Why is that wrong?
Yeah, we sometimes just focus right there, don't we? And depending on what your booking window is, so say somebody books 2 weeks in advance, 2 months in advance, 2 years in advance, I would submit that the experience begins right with the first interaction with your company, honestly. Whether that's a little bit even before the booking, but definitely right at the time of booking, that experience has started. What are you going to provide to them in that window before the tour itself, before the activity, right? It's interesting that 70% of guest satisfaction is influenced before the trip starts. So that's huge. Like if you're thinking, how do I get more 5-star reviews? Well, boom, right there. There's an easy one. What can you do before? So I'll just give you a couple of thoughts here in terms of things we do. A lot of this is digital, right? Because we're not physically present with these people. So what can we do? And you'll see this if you go and take our little health assessment growth engine quiz to see where you're at. You'll see some of these mentioned in there, but there are things like the confirmation itself. Sometimes we're like, yeah, that's a confirmation email. Quick and easy, and I won't even think about it. I just need to have the right information in there and my trip details and make sure they see that they paid for it, and that's all. But you can use that. Like it's a cool tool to do something a little unexpected. Can you put a video from the company owner right in there that they can click on and watch? That's like, thank you so much for booking with us. Let me tell you just a quick little bit about what to expect, or whatever. And they're like, oh, that's personal and cool. Like it was unexpected. Can you give them some fun trivia about the area where they're going to be traveling? Can you give them a list? If you're doing like a longer, big investment type trip, like here's a cool library of stuff you can utilize to learn about the destination you're going to be traveling in. Some people love that, especially if it's got some historical significance or something. And then from that moment moving through it, what can you do to continually provide that kind of value, right? And help people be engaging with that process. And some of that is just like truly knowing what to expect for the trip itself, right? 5-star reviews are 3 times more likely when guests are prepared before arrival. So helping them understand if it's a bigger trip, a packing list, or even just a what to bring, making sure they know exactly where they're going to meet, what parking is going to look like. Like think about all the questions you would ask. Sometimes we live inside our own businesses and we're like, we don't see these things because they just seem normal to us. But, talk to some people that, and they might get confused about this or that. Like just over provide information and people will love that.
Yeah, in our survey, a big part was, or one of the questions was post-purchase communications. Are they automatically generating additional purchases? And only 21% said they're doing this consistently. It makes me think you might only have one tour, so maybe you don't think there are any post-purchases. But when you mentioned, Brandon, about helping them prepare for the trip, like, hey, give them a packing guide, but if you can, use a company like Printful or Printify and have a way, or Amazon, like link them to resources where they can go and buy the different things that they might need to do or buy to prepare for your trip. And you can get affiliate, kickback from Amazon, or you could be the one selling it yourself, whatever it might be. So it doesn't always have to be post-purchase like trips and upsells, but other, apparel even, or whatever it might be that is getting them excited and like, hey, this is awesome. They're helping me out a lot. One thing you don't want to do in the experiencing stage, my wife went to a Taylor Swift concert in New Orleans last year on the Eras tour, and they flew into Florida and they did like one of those big fan boats, and she booked And immediately after she booked, she came to me and she said, I think I just got scammed. And so the experience post booking was like so bad that she almost canceled everything because of it. She ended up calling and we found out it was real. And that's like an experience you don't want to have. You want your customer to purchase and then feel even better post purchase and continue to feel better along the way.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there are a lot of things we can do. I'm glad you mentioned the retail piece to this too. Like if you have a longer trip, we have some rafting trips that are 6-7 days long. And for a lot of people, they've never done anything like that before. We'll give them not only the ability to purchase things, but we have a product we sell called the Works for him, the Works for her. And you can literally go in with one click, select all your sizes, and you get basically a packed bag. That's the duffel bag plus everything you need is in it, maybe minus your, a few toiletries and things like that. But it makes it really easy for somebody's like, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. And just again, even them knowing that before they book could be helpful too. Like, hey, we provide everything. We're going to give you what you need to bring, where you can get it, make it super, super easy. And it's just like, oh, this is cool. I was kind of nervous about this type of experience, but you guys make it really easy all the way through it. And then the last piece of experience, of course, is the experience itself. I mean, we talk a lot about, before and after, that's part of the experience, but make sure you have like some kind of standardization about how you surprise and delight your customers. What are some simple, repeatable touches that you can consistently do that elevate the experience? I've heard some people call them signature moments, and sometimes there are certain guides signature moment, like this guide does this thing. We used to have somebody before they banned us from doing it at Arches National Park. He would take his saxophone in and he would go hide in this place by Double O Arch, and he would start playing this quiet saxophone. And people loved it. Like we even had people in reviews say it, but like I started crying when I was standing there looking at this. And then the park said, hey, no more music in the park. And we were like, oh, it was so meaningful though. But, like stuff like that you can do that's really going to kind of surprise people and give them something they're going to talk about too. Like what can you do that they would go tell their friends, like, you won't believe what happened when I was sitting there looking at this arch. Like, that's cool.
Sometimes it's the simplest things too. I went to Kilimanjaro last year, and it was a water bottle. They gave me a water bottle with my name engraved when I first got to the hotel. And I had all my tour guides and Sherpas meet me there, and they were singing Jumbo, and it was a really special moment. They handed me the water bottle, and I use that water bottle every day. I won't travel with it because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. But it's a really special piece to me. So it doesn't have to be something really expensive. And maybe a water bottle is expensive to you. I don't know. But just think what kind of emotions that your guest is going to feel. So that's really important.
I think before we move on, a lot of what we're talking about might apply more to longer trips, right? Because it's a lot easier to do some of these things if you have a long trip. It seems pretty easy to, have your guides interact with people and whatnot. But if it's a short 2-hour trip or tour, like how do you interact and get that same feeling? And I think it's actually pretty easy. Like having your guides actually get to know the people, asking questions about who they are, where they're from, what they like, and engage with them that way. You almost can leave that 2-hour tour being like, that's my new friend, and I don't even maybe ever see him again, right? But it's that interaction that you can do even if it's something real quick.
Real quick, before we go on to sharing, I thought of something, because as we're in this experience stage, sometimes the dreaming stage really correlates to the experience, because, for example, you're on that tour right before you go on that tour. So you've already booked the trip, whether it's a day trip or more probably a multi-day trip where it takes a little bit more research and whatnot. I booked that trip and now I'm on their YouTube. Now I'm on their social media. I'm liking everything. I'm getting more involved because I really want to put myself into kind of this vibe of getting ready for the trip, if that makes any sense. But that's where what you've done on social media and on YouTube and TikTok and then they're seeing your ads again kind of just reassures that you made the right decision. I know we probably never talked about that, but that kind of goes hand in hand. So
Yeah, it's true. I think all of these phases we've talked to about this point, and we're getting to our last one here, they all support each other all along the way. You know, the things we're doing in that dreaming phase of trying to have everything omnipresent across all these channels, people are going to see that stuff during the planning phase, right? They've got your stuff. They're in that lead nurturing. They're going to see your remarketing ads. They're going to see those emails. They're going to continue to see you on social. So like all of those, and even during the experience phase, being present after they book through the things you're sending them, but also in all the other things. So don't think of them as like isolated stages. Once I'm done with that, it's over, right? They continue to build upon each other. Even once somebody's booked, they might go back and add to their experience. Well, now they're right back in the booking phase again. So yeah, they definitely build on each other.
All right. We're going into this sharing stage, which is probably my favorite stage. I actually see a lot of tour operators before they, come on board as a client, they struggle in this stage. They don't have the reviews. They aren't promoting or trying to get referrals and whatnot. So why, Brandon, is sharing such a critical part of the growth engine?
When we think about sharing, this is ultimately what fuels dreaming for a lot of other people, right? 93% of your travelers are going to read reviews before they book. That's a big deal. If you can engage with those reviews too, people love to see that. You're going to rank 1.7 times higher in local search if you're replying to reviews. Like Google and others love the fact that businesses interact with their review platform. Your customers that leave reviews are 2 to 3 times more likely to return. So all of these things build upon each other, right? And then, of course, sharing is about talking about the trip to others. What are we giving people that will cause them to talk? Your water bottle, Nikki, if you were willing to travel with it more, you probably would even talk more. But maybe it goes out with you during the day or something, right? And people are like, that's cool. What is this? Or it's just top of mind. So you probably find yourself telling people about that trip more, right? Because you're drinking out of your bottle every day. So having something, a physical reminder of the experience can be a big deal. But there are some little things we can do to kind of make sure that we're getting more reviews. And to tell you the truth, we've already talked about a lot of them. Every single thing we've talked about in every other phase is going to be part of somebody being so pumped about the experience they've had that they want to leave a review.
Yeah, and we didn't say this in the experience section, but that's part of the experiencing section is getting those reviews like immediately before they're off onto some other aspect of life, back in their inbox, and now they're busy with work, right? Kind of touching back to our survey that we did, this is the section, sharing is the section that everyone has said is what they do the worst. So out of 100%, we're at 40% here. And most of that is people, not consistently doing it. One of those being automated messages that reach out to customers to drive repeat bookings. The easiest money you're going to make are repeat customers. The cost of acquisition is way lower, and the word of mouth only gets better the more happy they are with you, right? The more they're going to share it. And only 12% of people are doing that consistently. And that's just like, you already have these people that went on a trip with you, hopefully had a great time. They're already out there telling their friends about you. But how can you now drive that repeat booking so that they come back? And sometimes that's harder. Maybe, you have a 7 or 8 day once in a lifetime tour, and that's really what you're offering. That might be a little bit harder to have them come and do that again, because they might be going after another once in a lifetime tour. But having that built in is going to really help just, keep you in their mind. And even if they don't book, it might keep you on top of the mind for them, so that a year down the road, they're talking to a friend. They're like, oh, I just got this email. You should go do this trip.
Yeah, totally. Let me just give you a couple. I want our listeners to just have some very concrete takeaways in this section. So some of these are so easy. This is low-hanging fruit. You can do it right now if you haven't already. So you touched on it a little bit, Greg, but make sure you have automated messaging going out immediately after the trip. Your booking platform should do this. Resmark does it. you're going to get 3 times more reviews. I would submit, that's what the stats say, but I would submit even more than that, because if you don't have anything that's automatically asking, they're just going to have to be really excited and go do it on their own. So have something in place. And with that, do 2 things. Send an email, and in that email, send them to all the places that they could potentially give you a review. Businesses that have 3 or more review sources, like if people are seeing you across different sources with good reviews, you're going to convert 35% higher. So what am I talking about? Google, TripAdvisor, Yelp, Facebook, all of these kind of third parties where people go to see who you are and if they should trust you, right? Number 2 is make sure that you're sending a reminder about that. And in that reminder, you can even craft something, give them a little extra gift, a little thank you to kind of a feel good. Don't just constantly be like, give us a review, give us a review, give us a review. Like, give back, right? Give them something that's kind of fun. And then trigger a text message like that too, and trigger it like right away after the trip. And with the text message, I would say do not give them a series of links. This is not the place to give them all 4 or 5 options. Just right now in today's world, I would say pick Google. And don't shorten the link into something that they don't understand. If I have tiny URL or bit.ly or whatever in there, they're not going to trust it. I mean, granted, it did come 5 minutes after their trip, so maybe they'll trust it a little bit more, but just give them the straight up Google. If they see google.com in the thing, they're on, okay, we're very hesitant, at least I am, to click, and you should be hesitant to click links that come through a text message or even an email these days, right? Like, the trust factor is really, really important with that. There's so much fraud and junk out there right now. And then
that's where it's important, just real quick, to have your guides be part of this too, right? Like having your guides say, cool, the trip's over, we're going to send you a text to, elicit a review. Like, that now is more credible. Even if it is a tiny URL, they're going to be like, oh, he said I'm going to get a text. I got a text. This is safe.
Yeah. And make it human, right? Like, the reality is, I have people say this in a very professional way all the time, that they'll say, hey, I really hope you had a great experience today. I did. Loved getting to know you guys. And it really helps us out if you can leave us a 5-star review. It helps people understand, what the experience was like. If there's any tips that you can share in there, that helps them have a great experience as well. And it just makes it feel very natural, right? It's not that we're asking for it just because we were told to by the business owner or something like that. Like it ultimately, and helping guides understand that, like, it really does help them out personally. They're going to have more people on their tours in the future if the company has more reviews. The other thing I would say is people look for these reviews, right? Have you ever gone online and just done a search for business name reviews? Like, every time you're about to make a purchase for something like this, you want to own that search result. And sometimes this is a little something we don't do, very easy to do. Make a page on your website. Have it, it's going to be your business name /reviews. And if we have a way, we have some tools on our side that we bring in those reviews in real time. So they're updating all the time from all the different sources we get them. And I'd rather have that than, I don't want somebody like typing my business name in reviews and then going to TripAdvisor to see my company plus everybody else in a place where I'm going to have to spend a big commission for them to book. Like, I'd rather have you land on my site, see the same reviews, and start browsing my site. So that's a really, really easy thing to do. To generate that. And then, Greg, you touched on this too. It's very easy. You mentioned Printify and Printful before. Like, those are two brands that do drop shipping. If you're not familiar with what that is, this is like where you put your logo on or your design on a hoodie, on a t-shirt, on a hat, whatever it might be. And there is zero risk. There's only reward for this. Like, it's very easy. You integrate that with your website. We help our clients do this on our side, and it's phenomenal. Like, if you can get more stuff people are wearing, holding, whatever, your trip's going to be more top of mind for them. They're going to talk about it more. It just helps with that word of mouth factor and help people remember it and come back and do it again.
Another important thing outside of reviews is getting user-generated content, so UGC. So it's a great opportunity when it's at the end of your trip, even if it's a day trip, the tour guide asking, hey, do you mind if I shoot a quick video of you and you explain how if you enjoyed this trip or what you felt during this trip, and then you could use that video for social media, for paid ads, your website, and email, or you could use it all over the place. So getting user-generated content of your actual customers speaking about the tour itself, talking about their process, and all of that, it will help so much. So user-generated content is really important too.
Yeah. And that can also be in the form of, like their own testimonials would be considered that too. You can utilize those on your site. Make sure you have permission to do so. Like put that somewhere, that you have written permission to use that as they're leaving it. And then the other piece to that too is like photos. If you have a place where some people do photo contests, they'll have a way for people to share those photos after the trip. But you get some cool stuff sometimes from things your guests have experienced and the pictures they've taken. And they feel raw, they feel natural. They're maybe not the professional photographer you hired, which there's a place for that photography. Absolutely. Do that, invest in that. But see what you can get from your guests too. Like you can have some fun stuff or get them to post and tag you. We did a contest last year where we had people post their own pictures about their trip on their own social media, tag us, and they got entered to win a free trip. So that's a great way to think about how do I get people sharing stuff out there about us.
Raving fans. You want to create raving fans.
Yeah.
So amazing. We really did a high-level overview of each part of this growth engine. So during our next episodes, we're going to dive in great detail in each stage and with the components within each stage. So I'm really excited to talk about that. Before we close things out, I know people are listening and thinking, wow, there's just so much I have to do. Brandon, where should they start?
So I would start, again, we've mentioned it a few times, start by taking our survey. You'll find that here, wherever you've found the podcast, you can find that on our website very prominently. But it gives you a baseline. Like if you don't know where you are today, you don't know where to go, right? So do that first, and it kind of gives you a checklist. And then you have two options. You can work on those things yourself, and there's tons of great resources online. We have a lot that you can utilize and walk through that process yourself and just start picking one at a time. You'll see they'll be kind of color coded in the end. You'll have like, okay, you're going to have some ones that are red, meaning you're not doing them. And you can start there, or you can start with the ones that are yellow that you're doing fairly well. But our goal is to help you get them all to green, meaning you've got a full growth engine system firing on all cylinders, creating predictable growth and sales for your business. So that's one route. The other route, of course, is we provide services to people to help. We have systems and solutions that if you're like, I don't know, I need help with this. I actually helped create this, but I used our services to do it. So like I use ResmarkWeb. We just created a brand new website. I actually brought on one of our internal coaches to help me be accountable. Cause like, while I have a lot of ideas floating around in my head, I shared some with you today, like having somebody that met with me every week during the process of creating our website and setting this stuff up, like it held me accountable and it helped me get things done that I probably would have just gotten busy and distracted, honestly, with other things. So sometimes we need that help, that coach to say, hey, here's where we're going to focus first. Okay, great. What do I need to do? Do these steps. Okay, come back next week and show me this. Or I'm going to help you with this and help you do this together. We're going to do it together. And just having somebody that has the knowledge and the drive to kind of help you move down that path can be a really fantastic investment in your business.
Amazing. All right, everybody, that is a wrap for episode 3. This framework is really what we're going to be building on in the next several episodes. We're really going to be breaking down, like I said, each of these phases of the growth engine, show you what's working, what to watch out for, and how you can spot the gaps inside your own tour business. If today helped you take a step back at your tour operations and think just a little bit differently, I think we did our job. And if you know a tour operator who is also wanting to grow or trying to find clarity, please share this episode with them. Like and subscribe so you know when episode 4 comes out. And thank you for listening. We'll see you on our next episode.